Sonic's abilities are always growing and changing. Sometimes rings give you boost energy and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you can spam the spin dash and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you slide with the push of a button and sometimes you gotta charge it up. But there's one move that's seen some pretty drastic changes in quality over the years, and that move is the drift. So I'm gonna rank every drift in the Sonic series, except for racing games, those are just a different story. But anyways, I'm gonna rank every drift in the Sonic series to see which game did it best, starting with... Sonic Unleashed introduced the drift to help Sonic go around turns better with the new boost formula. With how the drift builds momentum, you naturally move outwards as you drift. When going around precarious turns, you gotta manage your speed and placement to make sure you drift right. The drift in this game can be difficult to master, but it's super rewarding once you get the hang of it. The added momentum helps you build speed in a lot of areas, and you can use it to make any curve in the game both cooler and faster. You also gain a bit of boost energy as you drift. It's super cool and satisfying to use. This one is easily going in S tier, and with that we're on to... Sonic Unwashed, because it's on the Wii. The Wii version of Sonic Unleashed generally has stiffer controls, making it harder to master than the Xbox version anyways. So while the drift is very mechanically similar, even giving you boost energy for doing it well, it's just a little bit harder to master in this game. Plus, sometimes there's a funny animation when you fail a drift. But it's still super rewarding. It makes any turn cooler, and you can use it to pull off a lot of shortcuts. I also really like how the drift makes these sparks. It looks super cool. Also, you can drift on the sled when you couldn't do that in the Xbox version. Though with how the boost works in this game, with it being more of a burst of speed rather than holding it down with one button, it means you almost never want to boost while drifting in this game. Even with that, it's still super fun and satisfying to use. This is another easy S tier, and with that we're on to... While I was recording footage for this section, I noticed this pretty funny line. Sonic Colors adds the boost aura around the drift, which might be because you can't boost while drifting in this game. Rather than being able to freely drift whenever you want like you could in Unleashed, you can only drift when you come across these specifically designated drift areas, which disables your boost for some reason, which are only in like 4 levels. The drift doesn't build nearly as much momentum as it did in Unleashed, which while making it easier to control, it also makes it feel slower and less satisfying to use. And in some of these already limited areas, you're better off not drifting or skipping the area altogether. This one's going down in B tier, and with that we're on to... In Sonic Generations, the drift animation looks more like a spin ball, which while it does look cool, I personally prefer the way it looked in Unleashed. The drift is able to be freely used wherever you want again, but it doesn't gain like any momentum in this game. But you can boost while drifting to make up for that. It's pretty fun to use in the areas specifically designed for it, but with how sharp the turn is now, you can't freely use it in as many areas. Like the Shadow Boss has these curved areas, and it really feels like I should be able to drift around these turns, but it just doesn't really work. Drifting on the snowboard is pretty cool though. Overall, it's still a pretty good drift, so it's going up in A tier, and with that we're on to... You might be thinking, Sonic doesn't have a drift in Sonic Forces, but the custom character does. There's a few areas in like 3 levels where you automatically drift around these turns. You build a lot of momentum and the animation looks super cool. Shooting out the grappling hook and leaving sparks on the ground makes me think of my favorite show, Attack on Titan. But what about the actual gameplay? Even with the limited drift in Sonic Colors, you still have to manually activate the drift in the drift areas, but in Sonic Forces, the drift starts completely automatically. Your movements to the left and right are slower than they are in normal gameplay, which makes it a fun challenge in Prison Hall as you try to reach the best route. Unfortunately, Prison Hall is the only level to actually utilize the drift for gameplay. There's nothing for the player to do in the drift sections of other levels. It would definitely at least be an A tier if it wasn't so horribly underutilized, but the core mechanics are just too fun to put it any lower than B tier, and with that we're on to... I was considering ranking Sonic Colors Ultimate separately, but the gameplay is literally identical, so there's no point. Sonic Frontiers only has the drift in one cyberspace level. Once you hit one of these green boost pads, you'll start drifting. It feels super slow and clunky, and you can't even boost to make it go faster. It sucks. Sonic Frontiers is not drift compatible. With how slow it is, you're legitimately better off just jumping over the boost pads and using the lightspeed dash and boost to get through the level. This one's going down in D tier. It really sucks to end on such a low note, but hopefully the next Sonic game will have a drift even better than Sonic Unleashed. But what's your thoughts on the drift in general? Let me know in the comments down below. And subscribe so you don't miss the next epic video. And I'll see you all next time. The possibilities are